From wherever you're joining us from, hello and welcome to Her Essence. I'm your host, Soni Masharia. Buckle up and let's talk. Thank you so much for your feedback last week. We appreciate you. We love you so much. Thank you. And continue watching Wema Online TV for the wholesome content, as I always say. So today, let's talk about reading. Reading culture is one of the most important things that we should cultivate as a society, as young women. With me today is an amazing guest. Hi. On the camera, please introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm so excited and honored to be hosted at Her Essence. I love the show. And guys, I'm Joanna Njeri Dureti. Many people will tell you that, will call me that, and I'm just honored to be here.
Thank you so much for honoring me.
And to talk about the reading culture.
Important. I think that you're the one who actually made me be interested to know more about this.
Yeah.
Because no offense, but I've been ignorant about it. And let's talk about reading culture and what is it?
Well, it's basically two words, just like would say it, the reading culture. And we are trying to develop not only a reading culture, but a healthy one. And more so for the woman in the society, the girl child. And it's not been easy knowing that Kitambo, in many occasions or situations, you would see the woman being the one doing the minjis or taking tea, and then the mzee is doing the newspaper. And it's not that's the narrative we want to change. So for me, reading culture and developing a reading culture is basically encouraging people or reviving that desire and the fire to want to know, to acquire knowledge rather from written articles, not just any other source of.
Because I think we are up from diverting and the whole illiteracy thing. We are literate enough, but we just don't need to know how to read. We need to get content. We need to get all this information, internalize it, and make help us build in our life. Because I was thinking, as women, if we build this reading culture, most of the information we have actually gotten for like our life is from books.
I agree 100%. I was looking at myself, for instance, like in matters, everything concerning a woman, like reproductive health. Most of the stuff I know right now, I've gotten from books that I've read, even if not necessarily from wanting to read them, having to read them through my coursework in school or, book clubs with friends. And you find that this information is very key for us as ladies. So for me, written articles is such an important thing, and we need to read books as women.
Because you have thought, just a minute, you have talked about Africa. Like, how Africans, there are some conversation parents aren't willing to have them.
Exactly.
Let's talk about sex, let's talk about, reproduction.
Relationships, matters, love.
You will find them in books because utapata mzazi Afrika amekwambia kuja tuketi man. Kuja mtoto tu.
Let me give you a simple story. So I remember when I was in class 6. That is the time most ladies begin to have their menses, and it was such a difficult topic for maybe my life. But I remember my dad going to the bookstore and bringing me a storybook called Naomi's First Experience. So he had already seen this lady is able, or this young girl then is able to read. So why won't I pass across a message through a book? He bought me the book, and as I was thinking about the reading culture, it's such an important aspect of our lives, because he knew he'd pass a message through a simple storybook. So imagine how much information will get to the society through books if we embraced it. And I keep referring back to the girl child, because the girl child has been forgotten. And in Her Essence, we need to
revive our essence.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what we do here. Because I was thinking, how you have talked about your story with your dad, and if you think about it, it's actually a very weird conversation to have with a little girl. And be like, oh, my daughter, you're gonna have an experience. But this has been sold by a book.
A storybook, actually.
That's life changing, because it was a small notebook, a small book, probably, and it actually said a lot. How important is reading when it comes to our society?
Reading is very beneficial, and we'll get to see how to live.
Yeah.
In a world rather where we get to read books, because I'm imagining if my dad didn't buy me the book, I wouldn't have got as much information as I did, as much as through the upper primary education we got to learn about reproductive health. I keep going back to that because it's a perfect example. But the first benefit is acquiring knowledge, which is the most important.
Knowledge is power.
Yes, knowledge is power. I go back to the Bible. The Bible says that my people perish because of lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways of acquiring knowledge is through written articles. I wasn't there when back in the days historical things were happening. I wasn't there when Mekaselili Wamenza during the Deborah judge, who's the only woman judging the Bible, But through the Bible, through the historical articles that we have, I can acquire such knowledge, and it can help me. And I'm pretty sure in the next 20, 30 years when I won't be around, I can still, the information can still be passed. It can be accessed.
It's an essential way to pass information to generation after generation after generation, because we get to appreciate these things. We get to see women who are really, really powerful. But if that it wasn't written in books, then we wouldn't know about it. You have said about Mekatilili Wamenza. And also I was talking to you earlier about us appreciating our gender roles and how powerful we are as women. It comes from reading from where we came from. Ukisoma, then you appreciate, oh my God, this is how they actually thought we should but this is how we want to change the whole narrative.
Exactly.
Because tunaacha kuwa dumb. Like I call it ujinga. You know what I mean? Like if you don't kama hujui
na hakuna mtu akukwambia, but you come across an article that can help you through that, And my friend Chico earlier was saying that nowadays there has to be a balance, with the gender roles and everything. Because it's not that I'll be in the kitchen every time. Most of us have now been through university. Some of us have even gone to the extent of doing masters and PhDs. So it's about bringing yourself to that realization that I am not bound to only being in the kitchen, and reading more books will even bring a bigger picture home. I've not been to the States, I've not been to most of the islands that I want to go to, but through the books that I've read from tourist guides and everything, it brings the picture home. So again, that comes as a benefit, you see. It helps me create a balance for me as a lady, knowing what I should do. There are parenting books for children, for parents, and it's not kawaida, and for parents to get such articles, for ladies to get guides on such, it's just nowadays you'll go to Google and just search something, and mostly it's in a book.
Most likely it's not usually a book. Because I've also thought about it deeper. Let's just a bit deeper, because reading can actually help your mental state. If you think about it, because if you read, and maybe probably the story in the book is about this girl, probably, just an example, she suffered through this, had a lot of life experiences that weren't pleasant as such, but she overcame. Probably you can relate to the same story. I think that is the most underrated purpose of reading.
Mental stability.
Because if you're stressed, you can literally just sit down and decide to read maybe some novel, Bridgerton, or whatever you are reading.
Exactly, I agree with you, Son. And I'm picturing it as a therapeutic way of handling stuff. Because sometimes I'll just take my book and go to bed with it, And instead of listening to songs, people have different ways. Of course, people might think you're telling us, we're just getting information from books. I can get that information from the actual person who experienced. But I think books will get to a bigger audience, because for me to get to that lady who experienced that, probably they're in the USA or in South Africa. How will I get to them? It might not be that easy. But through a book, just simple shipping, and it reaches millions. There are books that have sold over 1 million copies, and it's just amazing for me. So it's therapeutic, of course, and I agree.
Because the other thing we were talking about is how, like, let's say Kenya has normalized some of this stuff, but you get to read literature from other countries and you're like, oh my God, that's not good. Because you don't understand how intense it is until you have seen how other countries operate or whatever. Because ukikaa tu ninasema tena hiyo ujinga tu without knowing what's happening, what are other countries doing. Then you in a circle of shallow minded people, and that's why we can't move as a society,
which is very sad.
Very sad, because we are trying, we have this vision as women, the society that we are about to take over, but to get there I think we need to read.
We have to read. No, we need to read, but we have to read.
It's a must.
It's a must. And I wish every lady would realize the importance of books in their lives. And I don't know whether you keep a lib of yourself, like a simple shelf where you keep your books. I have friends whom we have been in a book club together, and in not only creating therapy, you know, you get to share ideas, because what I think of a certain author or his thoughts or her thoughts is not what you might think. So the moment we share and we, you know, what is it called? We look at
ideas,
we compare, we get to come to a conclusion
and appreciate everyone's mindset.
Yeah,
because I think that's also the simplest way to know how people actually think. No, in a literature class, and somebody, maybe the lecturer or the moderator asked what you think about the book, then you will know how people think. Are you a feminist? Are you against? Are you a male chauvinist? All these things, you get to know what people are actually thinking.
It's true.
To lighten this a bit, can you just tell us your best book that you think every woman should read?
Well, that's a tricky one, because I have read quite a number of books. People might see me here and think that, oh, she's read every book available in Textbook Center, or you know, but it's not the case. Actually, I've read a lot of books, 100, slightly. You know,
okay, 100 is a lot. Depends on who you're asking. Because for me, 100 is a bit too much. I'm guilty of not cultivating the culture, but I'm trying.
You try.
But when you say 100, ni kubwa.
It's a big number. Well, I appreciate, but one of the best books, I wouldn't point out a favorite, but one of my favorites is definitely, I lean more on the relational books, you know, matters, love, marriages. I'm not married yet, but I love such. One by our very own, whom I embrace, Ernest Boy. He's written a very special book called Last in the City. So he comes and gives us his story, and then he gives us basics in matters relating. I don't want to spoil it. Go search for that book. It's called Last in the City by Ernest. It's an amazing book. Of course, there are so many others that I've read. I've read Relationship Goals by Mike Todd, you know.
I've listened to the sermon, and I must say, you can't appreciate it as much as you read it. Because case in example, Bridgerton, the thing people are all watching. Bridgerton, in the book version, and actually what happens, there is a very big gap.
True, very true. And actually going back to because some of the things we know but we don't want to point out, there was actually this period where when I was in high school, a lot of high schoolers were going to this app on, is it Google Play Store, Wattpad, you know? And many people didn't want to talk about it because mostly the books that we were referred to were sexual and all that kind of stuff. But there is one I read, and when I read it and I watched the movie,
you're like,
it's so different. The book is detailed, like to the core. You could point out every bit. But you see the movie, maybe it's just 2 hours. Even if they were to do a series, maybe you don't have time to watch that series. And again, it develops your grammar. You just don't become the same.
I feel like the movie is there's some sort of mediocrity when you come to like compare it to the actual.
There is a lot of benefit with reading books. And I don't know how much I would convince the ladies in her essence to read books, because very soon I might be bringing to them.
Tell them. Spill the tea.
I won't spill it as much, but in conjunction with Wema TV, we might bring that on board, so that we get not only ladies, by the way, also gentlemen, young adults, the young at heart. I love calling them that, not necessarily the old, although, you know, plus 50. you guys, we need to read books. So that is what we're trying to develop. And I hope very soon we might create an online and a virtual book club for you all. And I'm so excited for that.
I can feel the passion.
Yeah.
I can feel the passion. Can you take a step? Listen to the passion in the air. Like, there's this thing that makes me want to read after listening to you.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
It's actually a very good trait. Thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing you and hearing your ideas on many other books. Yeah, you know, there are financial books. I will.
Make sure you host.
I will. Asante.
It has been me, Sonny Mashari, on Wema Online TV on all social media handles, and that's Wema TV, the voice of hope.
Wema TV, the voice of hope.